person finds you very attractive. I'm hearing sexiest person alive. So, yeah, you have this individual very flustered. It feels like it's very hard for them to keep their composure in your presence. And it feels like it's more than just kind of like your physical appearance. It's sexy is an attitude, sexy is a vibe, sexy is an energy. And you are putting that off in such a way that it feels like has really kind of it's created some sort of kind of like a chaotic energy within this person where their confidence is really shaken in your presence. Even if you're very approachable, you're very sweet, it's like a very kind of neutral space where you're meeting one another or they're experiencing you. There's a sense of almost kind of like all that confidence just goes out the window. The minute you walk in the room, it's like the energy in the room changes. And if nobody else is paying attention to you, this person is like watching you like a hawk, almost like trying not to have you notice that they're feeling a lot for you, or that there's some kind of like energetic reaction in their body when you're present. It's not like they're allergic to you, but it's almost like they're allergic to the distance between the two of you. Something where they may get very kind of, like hearts racing, and they start sweating, they start stuttering. It's like this person totally just crumbles in your presence. And so there's a sense of feeling kind of frustrated at this particular point in time. Like, how do I move in closer, or how do I sustain like an experience with you if this is sort of the power that you have over me? This person feels like you've almost put a spell on them. Like, just your energy in and of itself, it's kind of like their free will goes out the window, and it's like your wish is my command. Which this may be kind of like their ego that is feeling a little bit challenged by kind of this sexy, powerful, magnetic energy that you're putting off. That they're picking up on this vibe and they're loving it, because there's a sense of like the usual approach to romantic connections, or people that they like, people they're attracted to, people they're interested in. It's something where they may maintain a lot of control. They're the one in the driver's seat in that situation, and yet here it's kind of like, okay, my nerves get the best of me. All of that confidence goes out the window. And it's something where they may have even seen you when you're just kind of like sweatpants and messy bun, no makeup on, you're just like super casual. Or even this is something where they've seen you and it's kind of obvious like you're having a bad day or you're not feeling well. And they still find that very sexy, very attractive. It's something in your energy. It's something in your aura. It's, again, this idea of like, sexy is an attitude, sexy is an energy, and you are embodying all of that in a way that has definitely caught this person's attention. And they're sort of like, I don't know how to move forward from this point. I don't want to kind of come off in this non-confident sort of energy, but they feel very helpless at this particular point in time to kind of just do anything but almost kind of turn very sort of gooey in your presence. We got the 10 of Wands. Yeah, so this is somebody who's having some spicy thoughts about you. You are the central focus at this particular point in time of this person's fantasy life. When they are alone and there's nobody else around, it's kind of like all thoughts are of you. You inspire this person, and it feels like there's a sense of almost feeling like, oh, I think about you so much. I fantasize about you so much. And then when I'm in your physical presence, it's like they're almost embarrassed by that. Like, ooh, are you able to kind of, can you tell? Can you pick up the signs that sort of like you make me very nervous, but I keep wanting to move in closer to you, because again, there's like a lot of fantasies that they want to experience the reality of these things, and even the idea or notion of that is something that it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like all control that I would normally have over situations, that just goes out the window. And it's kind of like, I don't know what will happen. This is something where Definitely, if you and this person haven't been intimate yet, you haven't had sex yet, this could be like the makings of kundalini awakening. This could be, you know, the makings of like next level physical connection. That this person's like energy is reacting to you in that sort of way where it's like, I, you know, feel very out of control of myself, but I can't look away. I can't stop desiring you. I can't stop wanting more in this situation. Yeah, we also have Two of Wands. So this is definitely the energy of somebody that's trying to sort of, they're trying to kind of bottle up or keep under control this very like palpable reaction that they have. They may blush in your presence, or you may find this person kind of like taking a step back or looking away very quickly. Like if you catch them sort of like watching you from across the room, and then they're kind of like, oh, and they're looking away and, you know, not wanting that to be like seen or noticed. And all of that is kind of like they're mesmerized by you. They're like drawn in by you. They're like hypnotized by you, by your energy. And there's a sense that they're kind of like studying you or watching you from afar, and like, what is it about you? What does she have? What is she putting out there that is kind of like affecting me in this way? If this person sees you in group settings, or, you know, like sees you out and about in public, they may also be sort of observing. Does this person have the same effect on everyone, or is it just me? And it feels like you're in a very magnetic point in your life. You're radiating that confidence, you're exuding that sexy energy. You know, you've worked on yourself, you've had that glow up, you got your priorities straight, you're in alignment, or you're seeking to kind of create that space for yourself, and it is working. It is changing something about the frequency that you are putting out there in terms of your energy. But it feels like this person has kind of observed and noted, like, yeah, you might get, you know, a lot of eyes on you, you may be turning heads, you know, you may have people that are kind of like looking at you, or, you know, staring at you, but there's something where this person kind of feels like they're not feeling it in the same way that I am. And so this is something where they're almost like, okay, this is unique. This is something where I'm not having to like fight a lot of competition as far as they're perceiving like these environments. And so that is kind of like boosting their sense of, okay, maybe I can kind of like stumble towards this person, or I can come towards this person, you know, and kind of like seek to get to know them better, or, you know, deepen the nature of the interactions. And they're almost feeling like if there were a lot of people, like a lot of guys vying for your attention all at once, that the competition would totally just outdo them because of this effect that you have on them, this powerful effect. It's like, oh, my powers would be diminished, my confidence would crack under that pressure. Like, even if it's just you and I in a room, it's like I feel that you have the upper hand just because you've got this very radiant energy, and it's taken hold of me. And so there is a sense that they've kind of scouted that out. So like, okay, if there's other people around, you know, how motivated do they seem to step forward? You know, what's the nature of any other obstacles that or challenges that I have to kind of be mindful of, because there's like a hunger, there's this raw sort of animal instinct that has been activated within this person. Like, I gotta get closer, I gotta find a way somehow to kind of translate those fantasies into something in the material world. Yeah, we also have the Page of Swords. So they could definitely be watching you online, watching your social media. It feels like this is something where they'd be like watching your stories, but maybe not liking. Like, it's even commenting or making their presence known, stirring up a commotion. So even the idea of kind of, you know, any kind of feedback that they would give you that would be a direct indicator of kind of like, oh, I'm not just sort of, you know, doom scrolling and just liking this or liking that, you know, anything that would kind of be beyond that or more personal. There's a sense of like it would break their cover. They're almost like in this undercover energy right now, kind of like, okay, I feel very energetically like I'm not myself in your presence, and this isn't like a bad thing, it's a good thing, but I got to figure out how to navigate that. It feels very wobbly, but if I present myself in any kind of like obvious sort of way, you know, obvious that I'm looking, they may even kind of you know, try to take certain measures, you know, maybe like a fake profile, or again, if it's something where, you know, the only way you know is if they liked or commented on things, you know, they're trying not not to do that, but they're definitely observing, so that it's sort of like, okay, I need to have some kind of tactical advantage in this situation, because it's almost like the biggest fear is that you would be assertive and you'd start a conversation with them, you'd reach out, there'd be something where they wouldn't have this kind of ability to sort of choose that moment of action, or to create some, to move beyond some kind of like self-created boundary between the two of you, because they feel very flustered. There's a lot of desire, but they're very flustered. And so there's a sense like, I don't want to create this commotion in case, you're the one in this powerful energy and you're like, hey, how's it going? How have you been? What have you been up to? You're the one that kind of gets that ball rolling, because there's a sense that they understand at this particular point in time, that it wouldn't necessarily like go very well. Conversations might not go very well. There's an awkwardness in this. There's almost a sense like, I want you so much, or I'm so like attracted to you, that my mind doesn't work when I'm in your presence. I can't think clearly. I can't, the words don't come out right. I sound like a fool. I sound like an idiot. I say the wrong thing. I end up with my foot in my mouth. Like, that might have happened already on one occasion, on multiple occasions. And so it's almost like this person is not pulling back, but they're trying to be just very silent and just sort of captivated, observe, and find a way to kind of bridle this passion that has sprung up within them for you, that they don't mind sort of like feeding those fantasies, that fantasy world behind closed doors. But it's the idea of like approaching you in the light of day, or sustaining contact with you, in an outward sense, especially if other people are around or other people are looking. There's a sense of like, ooh, I'm not going to come off as this kind of like, I've got it all together energy. There's a sense of, that they've already kind of tested those waters, or, you've kind of like struck a nerve within this person where their confidence is like diminished. And so there's a sense of like, I need to regroup. I need to gather myself together. I need to kind of like find a way forward, from this. So there's a lot of just kind of like watching at this, like watching from the shadows at this point. Yeah, and we also have 5 of Swords. So this person might have already kind of bumbled your conversations at some point in time. They might have already fumbled this, dropped the ball. They're giving you these indicators of sort of like, okay, there's a powerful chemistry, but they're not following through on that. Okay, it seems like, this person's like putting out a vibe of interest, but then I turn and look their direction and they hide. They kind of like run off. This person's very aware of that. It feels like it's adding a degree of pressure where they're mocking themselves, kind of like, dude, what's your problem? Like, just, you want this person, you're attracted to this person, just go for that. Just go through that awkwardness and it'll be worth it. So their inner critic is kind of like giving them a hard time. They may be also getting some pushback, like from friends, from their homies that are like, what is your problem? Like, you turn into this kind of like mesmerized person when you're in this person's presence, but you're not doing anything about it. Or you've talked about how you like this person, or it's pretty obvious that there's like chemistry, there's compatibility, there's potential. Why aren't you acting upon that? So there's a sense of, again, like, they're in a conundrum is the word that's coming through. It's a conundrum at this point. Sort of like, okay, I've got this desire, but my action steps are not working. I want to move towards you, but my legs won't allow me to walk that way. I want to, kind of like break the silence between the two of us, but my words won't come out right. And so they're trying to kind of talk themselves out of an energy of feeling just very overwhelmed, very engulfed by these kind of like waves of attraction that they feel towards you, so that there could be some kind of like practical steps forward. So they're not just sitting there fantasizing and then you slip through their fingers. They miss the opportunity and they're just stuck in that kind of fantasy realm forever. Yeah, we got the Devil. So these are like big time, intimidating, overwhelming, kind of like spicy thoughts. Somebody that obviously has had like fantasies about other people before, but it's the idea of kind of like you as like a fantasy person, a dream girl come to life. Somebody that's like, I've never met anyone as sexy as you in real life, or anyone who has had or created this kind of like reaction inside of me where my confidence is shattered in your presence, and there's a part of me that is like, that's no good, and a part of me that's like, that's wonderful, just take all these pieces of me and do with them what you will. They feel like they would almost be just very captive to you either lifting them up or breaking them in a way that like there'd be no coming back from that. And so this is the Goliath that they are dealing with at this point. Because there's also, with this devil energy, there's a sense of like it's more than just they're finding you very sexually attractive, or, that there's like that chemistry, that animal magnetism. There's also a sense of like, okay, so beyond all of that, beyond the sheets, beyond kind of like that experience or what I'm very nervous about, what if I fall in love with you, or and then you leave me one day? What if you decide that kind of like this is good for a while, but then you change your mind, and I'm sort of stuck in this energy of being like hopelessly addicted to you. There's a sense of feeling like if they cross that threshold from fantasy into the experience of reality, nothing would match up beyond that point. Or there's a sense of like you seem like the type of person, if you broke my heart, I'd never get over it. If you broke my heart, I would never be the same. And so again, there's something that may even be kind of like feelings of inadequacy, certain, wounds within that they don't normally look at that have been kind of brought to the surface. It's bringing to mind that idea of like Kundalini awakening. You could be a catalyst for this person in like the next phase of their journey, having to confront something within the ego, because it doesn't almost like make sense to them. Sort of like, okay, yeah, you're attractive. I'm attracted to you. I'm having sexual fantasies about you. So why can't I approach? Like there's a part of them that is very logical in the sense like, it doesn't make sense why I'm kind of building this up into being something so difficult, so impossible, why I'm kind of talking myself out of that confident energy. This should be something that is a sign that like, yeah, this is a unique experience. This is something where I don't normally feel this way for other people. I don't have this kind of reaction within my body, which it's different, it's uncomfortable, but it's nothing that is making them like want to like turn away or feel that there's something wrong with that. It's kind of like they want you more. There's like a lot more yearning for you than they have an explanation for. There's a lot more yearning for you than they've felt for anyone in a while, especially if you haven't like been intimate with one another. There's a sense of like, I don't even know what the sex would be like, and yet I already can't get enough of the idea of what it would be like with you. I'm already like, yeah, this is wonderful. And we've not even had that experience yet. And so this is something where this person may need to kind of go through sort of a transitional experience for themselves, something where if they're able to approach, they're kind of like leaving the energy of uncertainty or moving just purely based on ego. There's some degree of like trust, allowance, going with the flow in general in their life, or as far as maybe this is something that kind of informs how they are gauging moving forward beyond anything that happens in a short-term or long-term sense with you, or even like if this develops into something more, how they're able to show up in partnerships, how they're able to show up for themselves or for other people, or even in that process of building that is different from, what has worked in the past with other people. So definitely something where you could have aligned with this person for more than just the possibility of kind of like what could happen in the material world, but you're operating as a catalyst for this person. You are crucial on some aspect of like their spiritual journey, their ascension journey, something where it's like if they can overcome those fears and they can really like follow through, then this is going to be something that's a very momentous experience. I'm hearing fireworks, so it'd be that kind of thing where a first kiss could be like fireworks, or that first kind of climactic moment between the two of you would just be like otherworldly, something that it feels like they would not be the same. They would be changed in like a deep and lasting sort of way from those experiences. But then there's also that fear of like, okay, if feelings developed, romance developed, love developed, and then you decided you didn't want me anymore, I don't know how I'd recover from that. So there's things that this person is kind of like needing to look at or push through, like they're being pushed through that fear. But then there's also like a big wall of fear that has come up in a way that doesn't make sense, but it's also not totally deterring them from like, I can't keep my eyes off you, I can't stop watching, I can't stop fantasizing. So you've really done a number on this person, and it feels like it's taking a lot for them to remain very calm, cool, and collected. Yeah, we got the Oh, we got the Six of Cups. So yeah, just even like dropping this card, you may notice this person like, oh, they're like stumbling, they're like dropping things. They've dropped the ball in this situation. They feel like a kid in your presence, like a teenager with a crush, and it doesn't make sense to them. It's something that it feels like it's a very kind of like fun energy, but it's not fun at the same point in time. They feel very limited. They feel very like, this is almost the energy of somebody that's like, okay, I want to move things forward. I want to kind of like meet you halfway or come to see you, but I got to ask my folks for a ride, and they said I'm grounded tonight. So all I can do is just sit in my room and think about you. It's that kind of an energy, but they're an adult. And so it's not computing for them, sort of like, okay, why am I feeling so limited in this situation when there is so much desire to kind of experience something more, just put myself out there, get to know you, or even kind of like stand in your presence for longer than a few minutes, maintain eye contact for longer than a few minutes. So you definitely have pulled up some kind of inner child wounds. This may even relate to like a crush that they had when they were younger, and they were so certain like, oh, this is going to work. And then it was like the worst rejection ever, or something that might have just been like, humiliated them publicly, or, kind of like changed their view on love. Like, and could have been the first heartbreak, even something that it's kind of like, it's causing these things to resurface, that if they're able to kind of address that properly and push through, then it kind of puts that chapter to rest. It makes them, kind of the champion, the hero, the victor in this situation, as opposed to somebody that's just gonna, kind of like be risk averse, or almost like stand in their own way, or self-sabotage, like squash something before it even gets off the ground. Yeah, we got the Ten of Swords. So again, this person is like crushed beneath these like defeatist thoughts. I want you so much, but I'm thinking of, all the ways that I might be made to be vulnerable or powerless in your presence. And, you could crush my heart. You could, decide that you don't love me. And then I'm sort of like stranded in this energy of love all alone. Or I build it up into be such a fantasy, and then the reality doesn't measure up. And, then what? Then, you may tell other people that like, oh, they're horrible in bed, or what a waste of time, or something where they themselves would kind of feel like, oh, I didn't perform, I what's wrong with me, I'm kind of like, I've lost my game, I lost my edge. They're like deep in thought about this, all those kind of like sexy spicy thoughts with that Ten of Wands that came up earlier. With this Ten of Swords, it's like there's a lot of balance in this person's mental space, in terms of like to balance out those spicy thoughts that are like, yes, I want something here, I want to move forward. There's also this part of them that is like, oh, but then if I get a taste of this, if I get hooked on this person, if it moves into something very beautiful, and then I'm discarded, I'm cast away, I'm sort of left by the roadside, they break up with me, or they ghost me, they block me, they don't want to see me anymore, or it doesn't turn out to be this kind of like wonderful, beautiful experience, then I'm just totally defeated. And I don't think I'll ever be able to like come away from that in the same way. My perspective on love will change. I don't think it's a defeat that I will ever be able to rise from in the same sort of way. So yeah, you've definitely, you're serving as like a crucial element in some phase of this person's like awakening journey. For a lot of you, this is the energy of somebody who will not actually be able to express their feelings. They're just gonna like kind of stick themselves in a corner with this energy of like, they're watching, they're fantasizing, they're wanting you, they're desiring you, but they're just as held back by that experience of like, but what if it doesn't turn out in the long term? What if it's just like, I'm stepping into something that's going to be very, very disastrous for me? I open up, and maybe that vulnerability or that experience is something that kind of like comes back to bite me. There's a significant portion of people where it's kind of like, yeah, you're just going to have this person crushing on you. Someone else will come in and kind of like, see that sexy energy, feel that magnetism, and won't be so thwarted by the intensity of that or their own thoughts. But then there's others of you that it's kind of like, this is a very necessary process for this person to, kind of shake themselves out of some kind of a pattern where maybe it was very easy for them to kind of like, I see something and I want it. And I get it. I'm attracted to someone and it all works out. Yeah, I got to put in the effort to get to know someone, but then, the results come in. It's the way that I want. So there's something where it's almost like their approach to this situation, an internal state within them, or, even kind of just acknowledging that there's already the sense of vulnerability early on and kind of building from there. For those of you where this person is very successful in kind of navigating that, coming in kind of a clumsy or chaotic way, or they're able to just sort of muster all their strength and put themselves out there, it goes better than they thought, and that kind of diffuses, all of that sort of nervousness, or, they allow you to kind of take the lead in the situation. It feels like you'll be getting a version of this person that is ripe to be activated, to like a deeper bonding, a better intimate experience, something that even if there's not a lot of staying power in a long-term sense, it's like, for this person, you will definitely, for those that this person comes forward, it's like you would be a memorable experience. Not just in terms of like, oh, the sex was great, but something where it's like an internal shift within them that may really signal like the next phase of their journey moving forward, different things they seek in partnerships and relationships with others, or different ways in which they're kind of showing up in partnerships or relationships, or circumstances with other people, thanks to the experience with you and something activated. So it's like it's your energy has really kind of turned this person on, and has them all sort of discombobulated at this point in time, which feels like will be very obvious. A lot of you are going to know who this is. That is kind of like, yeah, that nervous energy, something where their energy might even just pull at you. You may even kind of sense like, ooh, I think someone's like looking at me, and you turn and look, and this person's like on the other side of the room, kind of staring at you, and then they look away. Something where it would be very like, energy flows where attention goes. There's a lot of intense energy headed your way. You may sort of like dream of this person, think of this person. You may feel their energy around even when you're not in one another's presence, because of like that combination of both the spicy thoughts and also kind of the fearful thoughts. So they got a defeatist attitude that they need to kind of climb over in order to progress forward with you. And for some of you, they're going to be successful, and for others of you, this is like they're just kind of caught up in that sort of like overthinking trap, a lot of desire but not really able to take action on behalf of that. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like the video or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to see more content that I put out here, don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.